Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sydney, and today's video we will be continuing our saga of reading books from the Goodreads Choice Awards in 2022. As you can tell by the title of the video, today we are visiting the horror genre. So hey, what's up? How are you? I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with me for a little bit. It was surprising to me how excited I was for almost all of the books on the horror list for this year's Goodreads Choice Awards. When I was originally going through all of the lists, which I did film by the way, I don't know if I'll ever use that footage, but while I was going through them, I was most excited for the horror list, and it was completely unexpected. I was originally expecting to be reading from the fantasy and literature, maybe a little bit of sci-fi. But this horror list this year, it is truly, seemingly really great. I haven't read a lot of them, but they're all books that are on my radar and ones that I've actually been really excited to get to. So if you saw the last installment of this little thing that I'm doing this year, we read from the fantasy genre. I'll leave that link down below in the description if you want to check that out. I read 2 books from the Goodreads Choice fantasy list this year in that vlog. And just like that vlog, in this one, I went to my patrons and had them vote on what genre I was to read from for this next vlog. I gave them fantasy, horror, and sci-fi, and horror actually won by a landslide, which I'm really excited about. So then the secondary poll was they got to pick which book I was going to read or start with. The options are 3 that I think will be in the final round of the Choice Awards for the horror genre, and they are Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. This is one that I'm super looking forward to. The one that I hadn't even heard of, but apparently everyone really likes, and it has really phenomenal reviews on Goodreads, is Hidden Pictures by Jason Recklick. I don't know where I've been, but I haven't even heard of this, but it's like huge. It has great reviews and so many of them. So this was a choice. And then the other one is The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas, which is another gothic horror book that I have been wanting to read since I got it in the mail from Book of the Month. And out of all of these 3, Hidden Pictures actually won. So we will be starting with Hidden Pictures in this vlog. I plan on reading at least 2 of these choices in this video. I would love to read all 3. It's just a matter of if I have time to do so. So that being said, we are going to get right on into this book, and then I will come back and tell you a little bit more about it and some initial thoughts. So welcome to the vlog. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out. Let's get into it. Quite far in Hidden Pictures. I think I have under 2 hours left in the audiobook. I will definitely be finishing it today. When I first started the book, I was sprinting with my patrons, and I got through, I think, page 66 or so. So like, I remember my initial thoughts just being really excited. I was, and still am, really loving the writing. And I'm really surprised that I haven't heard of this book. Like, every time I've brought it up, everyone in my Patreon has said like, oh yeah, that's a great book. And obviously it has so many high ratings on Goodreads. So I just don't know where I've been, but I am really excited to be reading it. The story itself, I am really digging the kind of paranormal, creepy aspects of this like spirit or entity that might be coming into our main character in this family's life. So I don't think that I actually told you what the book is kind of entailing. It's about our main character, Mallory, who is a recovering addict. She's like 18 to 20 months sober, and her sponsor got her this like babysitting job job for this like wealthy family on the north side of Philly, I think. Regardless, she gets the job and is now living in this little like cottage in the back of the property. And she wakes up and she'll babysit and take care of the son of a husband and wife named Teddy. The son's name is Teddy. And she loves it. She's finally like finding a groove, like she is thriving on the routine. But Teddy starts drawing these really creepy pictures and saying that he has this imaginary friend named Anya. And these pictures that he's drawing are getting more and more morbid and just creepy. And so Mallory's just trying to figure out like what is actually going on, because the pictures start getting more intricate and it's almost like there's no way that a kid, I think he's 5 years old, could be drawing at this caliber. So like I said, it's a little bit spooky, but with less than 2 hours left in the audiobook right now, I have some reservations. It seems that it's just playing off of some of the like classic, I don't know, paranormal like thriller type tropes, where it's like there's this kid who is seeing this spirit, and since he's a kid, he's more susceptible to these things. The parents don't really believe it. Then there's a troubled teen who is like, you know, no one believes her either, no matter what she says, because one, she's an addict, and two, they just don't want to believe her. I don't know. But I'm seeing like 3 different paths that the story could end up going down, and I'm nervous to see where it actually ends up, because there is one path that I will actually be very upset if it ends up on that path, or it could go down the path of it being exactly what it's setting up to be, like a very obvious, this is what they want you to think, and then it actually is what that path is. But then there's a third path that it really could go down, and I would be very happy, especially if there were added twists in there. So that part is up in the air, but just know that I'm all over the place. I have a lot of theories, and not all of them I'm happy with, but I will definitely be figuring out how I feel later today, and I'm looking forward to finishing it and figuring out if I'm going to be in agreement with the majority of the Goodreads population that this book is phenomenal. So yeah, but today is Caleb's birthday, and we are actually going to go pick up some bagels from this bagel shop. We have been using our espresso machine, so he made me a little cappuccino this morning, and it's phenomenal. So we're gonna pick those little snacks up, and I will come back and chat with you later. Has been done today. As I said earlier, it is Caleb's birthday, so we've just been hanging out all day. We were planning on actually going to get a Christmas tree today. We went to the hardware store and got like the little saw, because we're gonna start a new tradition where we go and actually pick out and like saw chop down the Christmas tree that we choose. But the the Christmas tree farm that we chose was near this pizza place that is our favorite in the whole city, but we live too far for it to be delivered to our house. So we were planning on going to the hardware store, then going to pick up our tree, and then pick up pizza, and then come home and watch some movies. But we went to the hardware store, and then we drove to this random Christmas tree farm, and it was... It looked like it was being run out of a motel. It was very sketchy. We decided to do a U-turn and not do it, but we still got our pizza, and we've been watching movies all night. We plan to actually get a Christmas tree tomorrow, but it was actually comically not kosher. It did not look cool. So yeah, we've genuinely just been hanging out. We had a large pizza to ourselves, we had some drinks, and we watched some really strange movies. We watched Nope, we watched Bodies, 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 and we watched The Northman. None of them have been hits. So I think we're gonna try to find one more like palate cleanser. We're on the hunt for a rom-com that we haven't seen before. We're gonna try it out. But other than that, I will check in the morning. pictures. It took a little bit longer than anticipated because of Caleb's birthday festivities. I don't even remember what we did during the day on Caleb's birthday, but it wasn't reading. And then the day after, we spent the morning cleaning the house because his family was driving through town, so they stopped and had lunch with us, and then we went and got our Christmas tree. It's up, it's over here in the corner. We have yet to put on the lights. I think we'll do that later tonight actually, but we got a cute little fluffy guy. I've never had a real Christmas tree. Okay, well, apparently when I was really little, we had a real Christmas tree. Maybe a couple times, but I don't remember it, nor did I ever participate in like cutting down the tree. If I did, I was an infant and I, again, don't remember it. So it was really fun. It's really exciting to start like new traditions with Caleb and carry those out every single year. I'm really excited to do that every year. It was truly magical. Christmas tree farms, worth the hype. But anyways, this morning I sat down and finished Hidden Pictures finally. Big fan. This is a great book. I had a lot of fun with it. I think before I was telling you all of my theories, and I didn't go into like specific detail because I didn't want to do any spoilers in these vlogs. Let's talk about it. First off, physical book, great. Love all of the really creepy drawings that are intertwined throughout the story. It really gives it like a little mixed media, all immersive feel because you can actually see the drawings, obviously, that are being described. And I'm a very visual person, so I really love that. Audiobook, I also listened to it. Great, amazing, no complaints. I really loved our main character. I felt for her a lot. She's a recovering addict, as you know, we've talked about it. And if you have never like lived with or been close to an addict before, then maybe it won't like hit you the same as it hit me, but like being a recovering addict is something that you always are. Like once you are an addict, it is part of your like almost genetic makeup at that point, because it is never something that just like goes away. You're never like, oh, I'm 100% healed. I never think about drugs or I never think about self-harm or anything like that. It's always something that you are working through. At the like fundamental level, you are still a recovering addict because it's never an end, you know? And things would come up in the story where it would kind of test our main character because she's very early in her recovery, and it almost gave her a bit of like untrustworthy narrator type thing because she herself was questioning her own mental sanity and like wondering if she actually was experiencing all the things that were going on, which makes you think like, oh, did she relapse and like this is just a fever dream or something like that? Like you don't really know 100% what's the truth. She obviously doesn't know 100% what's the truth. And it really gave this just kind of like cloudiness to the story that it's like literally anything could be happening and I don't know what's true. But I will tell you, the plot of the story, 100%, it got me. Like I remember earlier how I was telling you that there were like 3 different paths that I could see this story going. Literally none of them were right. And I'm really glad that the 2 main ones were not right. And that in and of itself is just like when a book can do that, where I'm not saying I'm not some like super sleuth or anything. Like I really do not pride myself in like figuring shit out in a thriller, but I do theorize, you know, like just like all of us probably do. And my favorite thing is just when I'm wrong. I love being pleasantly surprised. I mean, obviously if I'm right, there's like that sense of validation, but like I even more so love being wrong. That's the only time that I actually enjoy being wrong, but I thrive. I hope for it. Man, yeah, just like a bunch of plot twists that I just didn't see coming with so many characters. And I totally understand the hype for this story 100%. I am so glad that this vlog has brought me to it and that my patrons picked it for me, because I'm tempted to give it a 5 out of 5. I mean, I don't have that like, wow, this is like everything ever feeling, but like it doesn't deserve a 4. I think it's better than a 4 in my mind. So I would say like 4.5 to a 5. I really liked it. I had a great time with it. So check, love that for me. The next book that I'm going to be doing in this vlog, I want to try to read all 3 of the books that I talked to you about earlier in the vlog. So the next one, I will be choosing The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. And this time I cannot have my patrons choose for me because I know that they would choose the other book for me, I think, but I have the audiobook on Libby and I only have it for 2 days. So I'm really gonna try to like knock this one out over the course of the next 2 days before I leave for vacation. I'm leaving for vacation in 3 days. I have family that live out in Maine, and this year like my whole family is going out to stay with my uncle, and we're doing like a little like Christmas prelude vacation trip thing. It's gonna be great. We're very excited. Caleb's sad that it's not gonna be snowy though. But I really want to try to start and finish finish this before I leave for that, so that maybe I can read Our Wives Under the Sea like on the plane or something. I'm unsure. I don't really know what I'm gonna do. This vlog will probably be out after the awards are like done. And that's okay. That's just how it's gonna play out, and it is what it is. But these are the 3 books that like I was also very excited about, so at the very least I'm reading 3 anticipated books, and I'm really hoping that one of them wins this category. But I guess we'll figure that out later. For now, I'm just gonna pop on the audiobook and start reading The Hacienda. I mean, I have nothing else that I need to be doing. I feel like there is something. But we're gonna ignore that feeling and start this book. So I have gotten to around page 130 in The Hacienda. Shit is spooky. I'm really liking it so far. I feel like I'm having to read it a little bit slower because no, I don't know Spanish. I took French in high school many years ago, so I don't know any of the Spanish words that are being said. So I am taking time to look them up to make sure I'm understanding what is going on, and I really need to like be able to visualize what I'm reading, and if I don't know what a word is, I obviously can't visualize it, so I am taking the time to look up what the words are so that I, you know, am getting the full experience. And this book really does have a great experience so far. The atmosphere is phenomenal. I know this is marketed as like a gothic horror novel, you know, and it definitely is. So our main character's name is Beatrice, newly married to this guy named Don Rodolfo, and he's pretty involved in the like government or military. From what I can understand, the politics side of the story is still escaping me a little bit. It's not really sticking. I'm not really able to grasp it too much yet. But now that they're married, he has taken her to this new house that is now hers. It's his, so now it's hers. And the house, I think that it is in a place called San Isidro. And when they get there, it's like the second she walks onto the property, she just feels like weird. Feels like there are eyes watching her. Immediately meets some of the servants and her new husband's sister, who she knows nothing about, who is very, very cold to her. They find this like mutilated dead rat on the front steps. She's taking a tour of this house, and it's just like the atmosphere in describing the tour, it's just phenomenal. There's a bunch of cold spots, there's just this eerie feeling, and the way that it's mentioned of like just the overwhelming like weight of the house, and when she leaves the property, it's like the weight is lifted, like just all the descriptors going on about this house and this atmosphere, this property. It's really, really great. I feel like I can actually like feel what our main character is feeling. Now, Rodolfo had to leave to go back to the capital, I believe, for work. And so Beatrice is still at the house. She's staying there. She's trying to get it ready for when her mom comes to stay there. But Rodolfo's sister, Juana, refuses to stay in the house at night. No one will stay in this house at night, so Beatrice is there alone, and all of these paranormal, really scary things are happening to her while she's there. And she's enlisting the help of a new character who we're following, whose name is Andres, and he is a priest that is newly come back to this city or small town. And he's a really interesting character. We finally got to a part where we got to know him like a lot better in the last like 30 pages or so that I've read. I'm really loving his point of view and really excited to see like where he and Beatrice's like relationship goes, because he has some really big secrets that it seems like people in the house might know, but like the vast majority of like the population, like if his secret gets out, like he will not be okay. And she has kind of enlisted his help to basically perform an exorcism on the house, and it's just like really great. It's really exciting. So far, I have like no complaints. I'm very much looking forward to continuing. And today, now it's like, it's noon now. I have quite a few things that I need to do today. I need to edit a little bit more of Sunday's video. I wanted to try to finish this book, or at least get like much further. And then obviously we need to pack. So busy day, but I think I might sit and read for at least an hour or so. Poured another cup of coffee, and I think that's what I'm gonna do. finished the hacienda, and this will be a relatively quick update because Caleb and I are packing right now. Well, Avi's there, but so is a suitcase. My whole entire family that lives in the Midwest are flying out to do like a little like Christmas prelude is what they call it over there. It's like a little festival, like a little Christmas fest that they have every year. There's a lot of good food, there's shopping, there's a tree lighting in like the main square. It's literally a Hallmark movie, but yeah, we're packing for that. We leave tomorrow and it's already late in the day, so we have to get going, you know what I'm saying? But I have finished the hacienda, and I know in the last clip I mentioned many times how much I loved the atmosphere written in this book, and that is the main part of the story that I really, really loved. I felt like I could just really like feel and sense the eeriness and the anxiety that is going on within the story, and I think it's hard to get that level of like visceral reaction from a reader, and Isabel Cañas did such a good job with it. On the same hand, the way that the like paranormal kind of like haunting aspect was written, super fun, really liked it. Definitely was a little bit spooky, which I was all about, as well as our main characters like Beatrice and Andres. Like, they were great. I loved Andres. Let me say, I feel like he carried the story for me. To me, he was the character with like the most depth and the most intrigue because of some of the things that we learn about him in the story. Avi's sad right now. She doesn't want us to leave. The camera doesn't go down that far, but she's like in my lap right now. I will say some of the twists weren't entirely super surprising in a sense of like particular characters and their motivations. I feel like some of it was like, yeah, like that's pretty evident, but I guess you could also say that it's pretty spot on with the character development throughout the whole story when those plot twists came about. You know, you could look at it either way, but regardless, I had a great time. I would give this like a 4.5 out of 5. I'd feel pretty confident with that. And the next book on the list is Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. I'll probably start this one on the plane out to, well, we have a connection flight in JFK, and then we gotta go to Boston, and then we'll take a bus up to Kennebunkport. It's a whole thing. It should be eventful. But yeah, so I am going to finish packing, and I'll probably honestly just check in with you after I get back from Maine. I highly doubt I'm gonna get any reading done while we're out there. We have an itinerary created by my uncle, so we'll see you then. freshly showered. I can't be bothered to put makeup on. This is what you're getting. But I have finished Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. As I said in my last update, it's been a lot of B-roll up for the last few minutes, I think. But I know in the last talkie update, I was leaving for said B-roll clips. And I started this on the plane. I didn't read at all during the vacation. And then on the plane ride home, I planned on finishing the book, but the plane we were on, it was actually it was a really nice plane. And the TVs, you know, that are on the back of every seat were like really nice. And they had a new movie out on it. They had Bullet Train. And Caleb was so cute. And he looked over at me when we were sitting on the plane and he goes, "You want to watch a movie with me?" And it was so cute. And I just I couldn't even try to pretend that I didn't want to. So instead of finishing the book on the plane, I watched Bullet Train with Caleb, and it was really nice. It was fun. It was a good time. So I got home yesterday, got very sick though. There was a lot of coughing kids around us and definitely came down with something. I slept almost all day yesterday, slept for over 8 hours last night as well. I woke up this morning, I feel a lot better, almost pretty normal. I just feel a little thick in the nose. So thank God that it's not anything serious. But yes, today I finished this stunning book in looks and content. I I finished this a few hours ago, and the longer that I've just sat here and thought about it, the more I feel like it's one of my favorite books now. Maybe in my top 10. It's beautiful, it's stunning, it's so sad. But okay, wait, let's talk about it, okay? So in this story we have two women, they're married, wives, Our Wives Under the Sea, whatever, okay. I need to collect myself. Our one main character is Miri, and our other main character is Leah. Leah is this deep sea biologist, a marine biologist, and she left for an expedition that should have only taken 3 weeks, but it was 6 months until she came back. It was very unplanned. Miri went through, the stages of grief where they were yeah, we don't know, we've lost contact with the submarine. And if I had a loved one who went on an expedition that was supposed to be 3 weeks and then 6 months roll by, and I'm like, wow, I mean, they're probably dead, right? That's what I would be thinking. But Leah actually comes back, but she doesn't come back the same. Being submerged in a very small space with 1 to 2 other people, you could imagine for that amount of time with underwater, there's no circadian rhythm, there's no light, there's no 6 months of that. Oh my God, I couldn't even imagine how horrifying and terrible that would be. And that being said, Leah comes back and she's very much changed. Very resigned and not very interactive. She's not the same person at all. She's spending a lot of time in the bathtub. She'll only really drink water if it has salt in it. She won't eat anything. And this story goes back and forth to Miri's point of view, current day, trying to grapple with dealing with these changes that her wife is no longer who her wife was, and dealing with that sort of horrifying grief, while also jumping to the point of view of Leah while she's actually in the submarine, going through all of this time underwater, no connection to the outside world, dealing with the 2 other people who went on this expedition with her. So this book is in the horror genre, as we know, and not only is the idea of being submerged underwater for 6 months horrifying, and the things that are going on, people are losing their minds, obviously, how could you not? That's horrifying, as well as, going through these stages of grief that Miri has, thinking that her wife could be dead and she'll never know the full story because the company that sent this expedition on is super sketchy. And that part just makes me so upset. No one picks up her phone calls. She's always on hold. She half the time doesn't even get through, and then the website and the phone numbers just disappear. And it's absolutely maddening, but I digress. But all of these topics that are being talked about, it's all enveloped in grief. And the way that this book talks about grief and discusses it is just, it's the most raw I've ever experienced, I think. And it was stunning and difficult. And I'm not even gonna lie to you. the latter half of the book, maybe the last like 50 pages or so, it's still a little bit blurry, you know, like I still don't know 100% like what happened or like what's going on. But if you know me, you also know that like in any sort of like weird or abstract sort of viewpoint or thing happens in a book, especially in like the horror genre, I love it. I really love it. In this, I do wish I knew a little bit more. I'll probably like look on some interviews with the author, and maybe other reviewers have like discussed other things, but the abstractness and like the strangeness of it is definitely super intriguing for me. And the ending like hit me just as hard regardless. Definitely cried. I'm so soft. There's one little like anecdote that I just wanted to talk about in terms of how this book talks about grief. And it's not even like, this isn't even super deep. There were much more like deep things discussed in this story. But this one was just so commonplace that seeing it on a page like made me smile, because I don't think I ever just realized it. It was on page 165 where our main character Mary is getting coffee with a person that had reached out to her. And the woman said, "Do people keep trying to bring you coffee? Everyone just seems to want to keep me extremely well caffeinated all the time, as if I want to be particularly awake for all of this, you know?" And then it continues on page 166, "Having people be kind to you is so important, but it's also incredibly irritating. It's hard to find the balance of what you actually are able to accept without wanting to hit someone." I just thought that one in particular was so commonplace and so accurate, because, you know, it's like if something ever is going wrong, the first thing you typically will suggest is like, let's go grab a coffee or let's go grab a drink and you know, talk. And in reality, your emotions are already so amped up that you really don't need the caffeine, but it is always the go-to. And the idea of, yeah, I know I don't want to be awake for this, you know, all this grief, this situation, like I don't want coffee. And then the part about having other people there for you is also so important, but also extremely draining, because you're already emotionally going through a lot, and then you're also having to field others putting their emotions onto you about this exact same situation where you can hardly even parse through your own. And that just adds weight to it, because then you feel bad about being irritated when everyone's just trying to help you, and it's a vicious cycle, you know, it adds on to the grief. There were multiple times in the writing style that seemed like it was a little bit of like stream of consciousness, almost like rambly, like raw emotion that like a few times, this doesn't happen to me often, but a few times after one of those like longer kind of paragraphs, I would literally like feel myself take a deep breath because I didn't realize that I was like breathing shallowly or like not breathing. And I just truly believe that the dichotomy of the two narrators, it was just so beautiful, because just taking the very different viewpoints of being underwater and then also dealing with basically losing someone that you love, while also getting flashbacks of how it was before the expedition. Like, it was a ride. It was a lot. I'm stuffy, like from my whatever cold I had, but I'm also trying not to cry. So that's both of the emotions that you're hearing. But yeah, this is an easy 5 stars. It grew on me and it won't let go now. So that's how I feel. And it's a lot. But yeah, okay, 5 stars. Today, actually, let me tell you, it is the December 6th, and the winners are announced on the 8th. And I believe that all 3 of the books that I chose for this vlog before the final 10 were announced, I believe that these 3 were in the final 10. If I'm wrong, I'm gonna look like a fool. But I'm pretty sure that these were in the final 10, which is very cool. Proud of myself. Good job. At the time of my voting on the 4th, I hadn't yet finished Our Wives Under the Sea, and I voted for the Hacienda to win. If I knew what I knew today, I would definitely vote for Our Wives Under the Sea, but I don't regret voting for the Hacienda because I still really did love it. But 100% my favorite horror book of this genre that I have read, at least, I would say is Our Wives Under the Sea, for sure. I also loved Hidden Pictures, though. Truly, I think Hidden Pictures might be one of my favorite like horror thrillers of the year as well. However, again, my favorite. And that's it. If you have read any of these 3 books, let me know down in the comments which ones you liked, didn't like, if you agree, disagree, or if you are now intrigued to pick up any of them. I'd be very interested to know. And while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. I always appreciate your support. And of course, be kind to one another, and happy reading. Bye.